Hey there, Slimesters and Gackoids, Manny here. What you're about to see is a video montage from our Patreon content from Season 4. If you like what you see, join our Patreon and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Every one of you play a part in helping our channel grow. Thank you for watching, and enjoy the show.
Let's get ready to versus
Love Spanked.
chicken, which is a delightful piece of poultry that you would love to have for dinner or have for dinner. And I find the dynamic in this love triangle very interesting because it's not often that a character comes between Ren and Stimpy directly. Usually it's like a character that's opposing both of them, or one of them, and the other has to help out to, push them away. But in this case, the chicken became between the two because they each see the chicken differently. Stimpy sees the chicken as, someone to love, someone to cherish, someone to spend the rest of his life with, apparently, and Ren just sees dinner. Now this got complicated because now I'm wondering if I'm just gonna talk about from Stimpy's point of view or Ren's or both.
It's that second one where Rocco sits. We never really see her, but we don't need to. What we need to see is his reaction. And this whole episode is him trying to let go of this unobtainable desire and move on with something else and try to establish that connection with someone else. But he's terrible with dating. And Heifer ranges from being a really good friend to being a really horrible friend.
Your date, Heifer!
Now I'm getting hungry for chicken.
Yeah,
I loved one.
Well, I had a horny rabbit.
How about we trade math equations, baby?
Yeah. Do you prefer horny rabbits or putting your life on the line to save your chicken wife burning in an oven?
Depends on the mood.
really glad both of you, neither of you said that you sympathize with the chicken, so we're good there. I'm probably getting way too deep into this, but I wonder if Stimpy just was, high with a case of salmonella, and that's why he.
That could have been the case.
Yeah. But that was the thing that I remember the most about music concerning Nickelodeon as a kid, was all my classmates just talking about on Monday morning the musical guest on all that on Saturday night.
That's how I discovered a lot of my music early on and realized some of my more R&B tastes emerged, like Coolio, Aaliyah, Da Brat, TLC, Soul for Real, just to name a few among many, many others. That was one of my main sources of jazz to listen to before I got into the classics like John Coltrane and Charlie Parker and, a few others. Kenny G.
Woohoo! Kenny G.
My relative had a Kenny G album, and I'm like, wait a minute, why does this saxophone play so high? And that's as far as I went. Bang it on the trash cans. Bang it on the street light.
Bang it on the trash can.
Drumming on the street light.
That was my best BB impersonation. It wasn't that
Yeah.
good, but close. Whenever I finally bought this house that I'm now at, I was so excited that I had to make a video of Sam and I running through the house, and we put it to the song "Shout Your Lungs Out."
It's also the basis for our Shout Out Your Lungs Out segment, where we get to hear from our Slimesters and Gackoids what their opinion is on a certain topic we ask them, or a question rather. So yeah, that has a lot of sentimentality for me too, and it's really fun to really hit that high note and scream it. I'll spare you the piercing eardrum sound waves that it produces this time, but next time you might not be so lucky. I might as well just exhaust the rest of mine so Alex can mention his and we can finish on a high note. But hey, look, more music puns.
And I'm your camp cult leader, Alex. And
Riot! What do you have
Alex?
What do you have in your brown leather sack today after spelunking in the deep, dark caves of Camp Panawana?
Shh! It's supposed to be a secret.
When I first moved to South Florida, because I had never been in a hurricane before, and so being forced to bunk up with a bunch of my classmates for a few days without power, without electricity or anything. We spent the whole night bonding the way that the girls bonded in this episode, where we just spent like all night asking each other personal questions and truly getting to know each other inside and out.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, it made me almost wish that there were more hurricanes that hit.
Yeah, why do we need a catastrophe to bring people together? It makes me wonder sometimes.
You know, camping or being at the mercy of the land, or anytime there's vulnerability, I think brings you closer to people that you're with. Having adversity and experiencing that with somebody else, I feel like creates a bond. You know, if you're one of a few people that experience something, that always seems to make things a bond that you'll always have with that person.
My favorite, our favorite thing it was almost like capture the flag in the dark in the woods, but it was an old green Luke Skywalker lightsaber where the extending part had broken off. So that was our trophy that we had to find. And there's one person who's a guard. We had recorded just the opening riff of Jukebox Hero from Foreigner over and over and over, had it on a cassette tape, and as soon as the person who was on guard knew there was somebody coming, we'd play that song, and we'd play it really loud to mask stepping on the leaves. And there would be two other people with water guns, but these particular ones were the ones that had a light on it. So whenever you would shoot it, it would be a red light, and you could see the water spraying. Each one was trying to get closer to the flag and take it without getting shot, and trying to be as sneaky as possible. It was the closest we could come to doing an outdoor Metal Gear Solid before Snake Eater came out.
I love experiences like that. It reminds me a lot of when I was in Boy Scouts, and I bonded a lot with the fellow scouts through like canoe trips down the Delaware River, or like summer camping trips, or even just like encountering animals in the wild, like seeing deer or even bears on occasion. And just figuring out how to handle it, like storing the food in like a high above tree so they can't reach it.
Each year, a group of my friends has been able to luckily get together once every summer, basically, and stay at the lake by here in Ohio, and just spend the weekend, whatever, just hanging out, and been lucky to have that. So.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to do a quick commercial break and put away our black magic spells and take a breather from having these heavy robes on us. But when we come back, we are going to talk about a little bit of trivia from the show. I know you're sweating in there, Alex.
It's actually not that bad.
Discdap itrovath ruoi si takada taus.
Back to me, technically. Huh? Wait, where am I? Brett?
Amethyst? What are you doing here?
I don't know.
Oh, and I see Sardo's there too.
Wait a second. This isn't my room. Mom? Mom!
Oh, it isn't. You're actually here on Splat Attack with us again, Richard. Welcome back. I'm actually kind of curious how you got into the role of Sardo at Are You Afraid of the Dark?
I remember at the time I had long hair, and I didn't want them to see that. So I had tied it into a ponytail and then tucked it in so it didn't look like I had anything really. And so they told me I could go wild. And they said, well, we see you have long hair, and we're going to put a wig on you where you can, you just be like this mad magician who's not very good, but he's just mad. And so I just took the ponytail out, and it was like, okay. And then we sort of went on with it. And the audition itself was a lot of fun. Once in a blue moon, for me anyway, once in a blue moon, I come out of something going, you know what? No matter what happens, I did the best I could, and nobody in life can ask you to do anything better than your best, right? Especially yourself. Yeah. So I knew when I walked out, I didn't know that I had the part, but I knew that I did the best audition that I was capable of doing at that particular juncture in time. And I had a wonderful time with that audition, and I was just blessed to get the role.
When I rediscovered the show in the early to mid 2000s before college, I'm like, whoa, what is this? How did I not see this before? not only because it was just amazing to see something like this that no one really talked about around me, like the concept of alternate dimensions and shadow people and black magic and stuff, but also because it was terrifying to think that these are just like ordinary people in some sort of like void, blanked out. Yeah, and the music too really heightened the emotions there too, because it's got this weird like techno-y synth sound that just kept building in volume and complexity of layers that really just kind of fueled your sense of panic and anxiety of like, what's going to happen? I'm all here alone, vulnerable with these weird people who are trying to come at me or get me for something I don't even know.
I remember the sound effects. They had this like creepy, spine tingle, but it's like if tingles could have a sound.
Yeah.
That's when you get those chill bumps,
Yeah.
And it weirdly also sounded like a clock ticking to me. Like a really fast, like stopwatch clock.
And even foreshadowing the events that come after that, because every time she puts on the glasses, they either get closer and closer or more of them start appearing.
I want to say, I've watched a lot of Ron Oliver directed episodes, whether it was Right Afraid of the Dark or Goosebumps. So my co-host and I lovingly call them like the Ron Oliver charm. It is pretty much in full force in this episode, and I love every second of it. From the Dutch camera angles to the camera just spinning completely, music buildups. It's just perfect. Just having a goof. Black magic isn't something to be toyed with, That reminds me, where's Alex?
He was called away to another realm on business.
Should I be worried?
Nah, he's fine. I'm sure he can handle himself.
Hello? There? Brett, I thought we were supposed to do a podcast today.
Which one are we going to hear about today?
The legend of the jewel-encrusted egg of Catherine the Great. The legend of the levitating dog leash of Nostradamus.
In my corner, entering the temple in the name of the sword, we have my fellow teammate, the orange iguana, Jason Corey. Jason.
Hello. Greetings, temple goers! I'm afraid Jason was tossed back into the temple by a vicious temple guard, never to be seen again.
Hi! Glad I'm still in the game. Woo. Legends fans, give it up for Justin of the Cool Kids Club pod.
Yeah, let's rock.
Now that's the Olmec voice we're looking for.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing the Olmec voice hopefully most of this podcast. I've been working on it all day.
With 29 seconds left on the clock, he uses the artifact to his advantage. Since the rope in the middle of the pit is just out of reach for him, he cleverly extends the levitating dog leash of Nostradamus outward and wraps it around the rope, thereby bringing it close enough that he can now swing across to the crypt.
He was like a little Indiana Jones.
Have you ever been like in a situation where you're like anxious and you can't think of what to do? Like that's super fast thinking at that moment. I can't imagine.
After Olmec lowers his gate, with
he makes a weird noise in that.
He was enjoying it a little too much, if you ask me.
It's a little more grating.
I thought I should go first, and I maybe would have pushed for that if I weren't so afraid of those temple guards. So I let my partner go first, and I don't think he went the route that we were hoping to go. So I think that's why he ran into those two temple guards so quickly, because he just kind of went off the beaten path that we were planning to do.
I'd also like to remind you Gackoids that we covered this series with the cast and our friend Carrie and Kat for episode 19, which was season 2 of Splat Attack on our main timeline. So if you haven't seen that already, definitely check it out.
Again, the slapstick, I was
going to say,
yeah. And they just let me do it, and I'm like carrying it around. It's the whole mime and movement thing that I learned, and they just had so much fun just letting me. I said, "Let me try something." They're like, "Okay," and I just went for it. And again, I know it's not about me, but I really enjoyed doing that stuff.
Yeah,
man.
no, you're bringing your experience to the table. Yeah,
yeah.
I like. There's a couple lines in the series where Thelma inadvertently ends up being kind of a smart aleck, and Space hates smart alecks, and Space hates litter. I think we find out too. But yeah, there's that one scene with with Davenport where yes, what's wrong with the Gizbot? And Thelma replies, he appears to be malfunctioning. And she goes, it is so inconvenient when machines are confusing and less than helpful. Isn't it, Miss Davenport? And just your face, you're just like, how do I? I don't want to say.
Yeah. I think it's I totally understand. And yeah, the girl was so darn cute, ugly as all get out, but then really cute, And I can remember the puppet handler on the floor, and we're all around, and it was like the camera was over, and he's crawled underneath the camera, has his hand, and Kristen is like holding the puppets. So yeah, it's really good.
It's Dennis standing on the table chuckling, it's good to be back in the family again.
I was hoping somebody could shed light on that for me because I don't understand why. For starters, you have to say Night of the Living Dummy 2 to start. Like, that's crazy. That's a crazy place to start.
Yeah.
This episode is the most wild. I have so many thoughts and feelings about like this family and their awful tradition of show and tell.
Yeah,
that's a crime. That's a criminal
torture.
Crime.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all in good fun for 90s TV.
No, it's too corny.
Fixture painting, he made it better, and we all have to admit that to ourselves that those stick figures really brought it together.
Yeah, less yellow, more red.
It's nice.
As a side note, trivia thing I have for Cal Dodd. He continues to do voice work today, actually, with his most recent role being Ron Rapidfire on Paw Patrol Super Rescue in the year 2022. He has also played Slappy in all 4 Dummy episodes from the Goosebumps TV series, which includes this one, Night of the Living Dummy 3, both parts, and Bride of the Living Dummy, which is a Goosebumps 2000 book as well, number 2.
I think the only way you could make a doll creepier is maybe give them like a hayseed sort of accent and have them yuck at you. That's the only thing more terrifying is actually Dennis. Dennis.
Yeah, like they're skirting the line between pretending to be a dummy and being like an evil sentient being.
I don't know.
It's uncanny valley for me.
I would think what would be scary is if the doll never spoke. If it just stared and you could hear it moving, but you could never hear it speak. And you'd never know what it was thinking until it was doing it.
What about the eyebrows moving? Do you think that would enhance it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, movement. So, absolutely. But never speak.
Now I'm getting Silent Servant vibes, which we also did a versus of.
Yeah.
Because it's literally just a walking scarecrow puppet with no eyeballs, and it's carrying out all these misdeeds.
Oh, look! Snappy!
Oh my.
But my father, he would often sleep in just his underwear. And same friends. He came over to spend the night one night, and we'd be up till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning playing like Soul Calibur or something like that. At one point, he goes to the kitchen to get a glass of milk or something, and my dad comes out of the bedroom at like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning to go use the restroom. And our rooms are right beside each other. So my friend has gone out into the kitchen. My dad comes out thinking we're in my room playing video games, and he's just in his underwear. And then my friend starts to make his way back down the hallway, and they were head-on colliding. Neither of them were looking at each other. And it's 1 o'clock in the morning. It is dark until they got very close because he was just drinking. Then he stopped and saw my dad there, and Dad's eyes were all groggy. And the moment they saw each other, I just heard them both scream. And my dad just goes, "Oh, I'm sorry," and goes back into the room. And then my friend comes in and he goes, "I'm scarred."
I really looked. So Rocco opens his fridge, and I realized his parents should be worried because he has nothing. We can actually, Brett, we can see it behind you right now. He has milk and a whole bunch of what appears to be condiments and nothing else. I mean, he is not eating at all. There's nothing in this fridge.
All bare.
All bare.
I'm kind of curious. Do you feel Doug's petcapade succeeded with Pork Chop being the focus, where Doug's dog date failed? Like still centering on Pork Chop, but also
and you told us
others?
why. Yeah, you said why.
Okay.
That Doug was taken over. He paying attention to his friend. And let's face it, it's kind of a Snoopy kind of character. Pork Chop's almost like a human in a dog suit. I mean, he's one of the, I don't know how old he is. I don't know how did he get so wise, but it was about Doug. It was just going right by him. He didn't understand.
And he accidentally knocks a bowl of gravy onto his dad's head, and because of that, he was grounded. But Doug is trying to cheer up Skeeter, but Roger is trying to coax Doug into going to the concert with him. But Doug decides to stay behind with Skeeter out of solidarity, and Roger ends up leaving. But Doug and Skeeter decide to put on their own concert, but their concert soon disturbs Mr. Valentine, and he gets ungrounded. So they're now sitting outside of an empty Honker Burger, and they decide to pick up the pretend concert where they left off. And then who drives up in their tour bus at that moment? The Beats. They start jamming along with them. And before they leave, they give Doug, Skeeter, and Pork Chop free Beats jackets. And Chat Lemon says, "Keep up the good work."
Really love that end scene where they're all just kind of jamming out in the lawn of the Honker Burger at night. There's just something very picturesque about that moment and serendipitous of all the stuff coming together despite all the challenges that prevented them from seeing the Beats.
Mm-hmm.
Killer tofu. Let's jam. Killer tofu.
I like this episode because, well, for starters, it introduced the Beats into Doug lore. And Killer Tofu is pretty much played throughout the episode. And let's face it, that's a banger. And,
Yep.
Yes.
Now, Alex, before we hit record, I told you to take a glass of orange-colored solution and mix it with baking soda. Can you show the viewers this, please?
Now, for our Gakoids watching at home, I'm holding a glass of water containing baking soda.
Excellent. Now add in the Midnight Society dust, which of course we all know is non-dairy creamer, and stir it gently. And if my calculations are correct, we'll have our guest for this episode.
Nothing's happening. Oh, wait!
Oh, oof. Looks like that was quite an explosive reaction there. One of our Gakoids, Ryan Smiga's here sitting next to us. Welcome to the Slime Tank, Ryan. How are you?
I'm doing good. Hey guys, thanks for having me on and getting those chemical ratios just right. Ooh, Alex, you look a little dusty.
Yeah.
I just think the experiments, I mean, because you could watch them and then you could actually do them at home. You could, go to the kitchen, grab, stuff out of the cabinets. You can, my dad piddled around outside and had stuff that, that I could get. And even in our town, we would have a livestock show, and we would go over there, and they actually had a plant that had a bunch of scientists that would do pretty much the same thing. So they did like the liquid nitrogen, and they put things in there, and we got to participate and stuff, and did that for many years. So I just think it was because you could watch them, and then you could actually physically do it at home.
I love how approachable and accessible his experiments are. One of the experiments I recall from like second grade science class, or when we did like science activities, was the classic, 2 soda bottles with the little thing that hooks them together. Sometimes it's duct tape, sometimes it's like a little cylinder that you screw them in, and you put water in there and you just like make a tornado.
I am a big advocate for, if they are available to purchase from the original source, go do it, go support. And there is a website for Mr. Wizard. It is Mr. Wizard Studios, and they had the whole series, both iterations of Mr. Wizard on DVD that you could purchase.
Agree or disagree, Mr. Wizard proved to be, time and time again, a massive inspiration for modern scientists everywhere, and even paved the way for kids being taken seriously. Not once did he discriminate or succumb to gender or race stereotypes during his show on Nickelodeon. Girls and boys of all walks of life were featured as equally as possible during Mr. Wizard's demonstrations.
And on June 12th, 2007, Don Herbert passed away at the age of 89. At his funeral, Bill Nye paid tribute to this legendary figure, stating, He was the one who influenced all of us. No one can replace the original, but if anything he had accomplished left an impact, it was his TV shows of the 50s and 80s. One of his last quotes are as follows: "My time on this earth is getting shorter and shorter each day, but no matter how old I get, and even when I'm dead, Mr. Wizard's World will never die."
So we don't see Kyra. We don't really see either of Keenan's parents in this. Of course, you got Henry Luna, who's the president executive, and I wouldn't really consider. Oh, sorry, damn it. That's the other story. See, I'm grasping for straws. Yeah, those are the characters. I'm just gonna leave it at that before I dig myself into a hole.
It was a weird thing. I hope I'm not like interrupting like you guys.
You're fine. Go for it.
There's in this episode, in this particular episode, the Taming of the Screw, that was so bizarre to me is I don't know what time Keenan is waking up in the morning, in the very beginning. I mean, it looks like it's the morning because he's wearing pajamas. Mm-hmm. But then they're going to watch the Bulls game, which that's in the morning. And then he's making a tuna sandwich and a sausage for breakfast. It was just like, all of that was just like, I don't like any of this.
Some weird continuity.
Well, I mean, it could potentially, this looking for some possibilities, but it could be that he had recorded the game from the night before and he's going to sit down and watch it. It's unlikely, but also if it's over the weekend or on a break of some kind when the teenagers would stay up all night long and then fall asleep, he could have been waking up in the mid-afternoon, and I mean, it's breakfast time to him,
but the dad's eating a muffin.
That is true, and coffee.
Yeah, and coffee, which, I mean, unless you're one of those people that like to drink coffee that late in the afternoon.
Oh well, welcome to Wienerville.
With Captain Bob. Love and good.
Captain Bob.
You see, I told you that's why we should keep that in there.
Well, Captain Bob, I love Captain Bob. Captain Bob started before Wienerville. Captain Bob was a big one in the clubs when we first went into the clubs, doing Captain Bob in the nightclubs, and then we incorporated him into Wienerville. But he had quite a life before Wienerville. He was probably the biggest star on Wienerville before Wienerville.
That's right, before.
We were lucky to get him, I think.
I think so. That's how much he wanted, and we almost said, "The hell with you."
The hell with him. And then the contract negotiations. It was tough, but I love Captain Bob.
I said, Bob.
He wouldn't barge on the price.
He wouldn't
no,
barge.
He didn't. Max. Well, we got the right audience here, Max. They love it.
Did you still do the tidal wave bit before the Wienerville days?
Oh, yeah, he did. In the nightclubs, he used to do the thing with the spray bottle, and then and then the storm drifted off, and it would go out into the audience, and he'd spray the whole first row of the Improv or wherever club it was. So that's where all that started, and then we brought it into.
You gotta love a good splash zone.
Right.
I think
just like with Gallagher and his watermelon mallet shtick. Like, that's where all the action is.
Well, Gallagher stole that from Mark. But
just going to say, Geckoids at home, if you want to take a drink every time someone says wiener, I hope you're going to get through this episode by the
end. Dave was part of. He made Professor Fazfade, and he was.
So him.
Dave.
He was the hand, right? Yeah, and I was the hand. Yeah.
So you were puppeting him behind the ledge.
Yeah.
That was pretty much Scott Fellows. Development, right? That was it. Even looked like Scott,
right? You guys wanted it to look like Scott.
No, you did he did, but you made it. That was one of the most beautiful puppets when we saw that. Yeah, it was great.
Welcome to Splat Attack, a 90s podcast overflowing into the slime-filled past. I'm your petulant pirate captain, Brett.
And I'm your feisty first mate, Alex. And Brett!
Yar, Alex, what you want?
Why are we sailing on a pirate ship today?
Because while some people think of sand and surf while summer rolls around, I think about buried treasure. And based on 2 episodes we'll be swashbuckling in our verses today, There'll be plenty of booty to pilfer.
Well, as long as it's not my booty.
I'm not talking about that booty, Alex. I'm talking about the elusive treasures of the deep many die to get their hands on. Yarr. Have you spotted any lately? What's the status of our navigation chart, Mr. Dance?
Oh, we be on a course to the dead man's trove, Captain.
It's not even grog! Why, it's our guest today, Catherine. Yar, matey, what ye be doing here on this treasure chest island?
Oh, just hanging out, apparently. I thought I was looking for a spaceship. I don't know how I ended up on a pirate ship, but this is fun. This could work. How you guys doing?
Yar, pretty good.
Well, no matter how you got here, we're happy to have you aboard to help us navigate through 2 tenacious Nicktoon episodes. And if my prediction is correct, this will be smooth sailing for me.
Yarr! Them's fighting words, Mr. Nance. You think you could best me in a naval battle on the high seas? Well, draw your scabbard, you salty sea dog, and on guard!
It's actually not me you're going to have to battle this time.
Oh, my mistake then. My apologies.
You two will actually be going up against each other, and I will be judging this episode.
Is that allowed? Am I supposed to fight a girl?
Aye, 'tis bad luck to bring a girl on the ship, matey.
Well, pirate rules are pirate rules, so we're just gonna do the best we can today. Let's get ready to versus! It doesn't really set the stage, another pun intended, for I'm full of them.
Admiral Angelico, and she is a selfish sea captain who is trying to thwart the baby's attempts to get the map and seize the treasure for herself. It's going to be hers, all hers.
We have some epic sword fighting with some cardboard swords and plungers, which is always fun for make-believe. We have Ed imagining Rocco's house is a pirate ship full of treasure, which I mentioned before. Launching cannonballs out of a washing machine, which is very bizarre yet somehow fitting for this whole episode. How Ed pushed up a washing machine to like the edge of his window that's maybe in his bedroom in like under 2 minutes is a mystery to me, but he was very effective at using it. I don't know how bowling balls launch that far, but I guess because it's a cartoon, I just shouldn't question it. Until then, Alice, will you drain the slime tank for us, please?
I've got to find me lost stuffed animal that Ed Beakhead took from me during that epic fight. I mean, how else am I supposed to sleep peacefully tonight?
Aye, Co-Captain. Don't get hit by a washer cannonball along the way.
Arg! I think we've been hit! Abandon ship! Abandon ship!
Well, it's been nice knowing you, Captain. Say hi to Davy Jones for us all.
That guy from the monkeys? I don't even know where he lives. Remember the legend of Captain Brett, Gackoids, and splat you later.
Yar, mateys. There's a new captain in town. Let's head to Vegas, First Mate Cat.
Ooh, aye, aye, sir. I'll claim our booty for gambling at the slots.
Bye.
Reprise the theme song and roll the credits.
How long have we been away?
See you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.